Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I'm Miss Lisa, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about anything I want to that's math and science related. And this is biology, and we are in our unit of plants. It's spring that when you would be watching this, and you are doing labs where you go outside and gather leaves and look at parts of plants. We're going to be looking at flowers next week, but we're wrapping up our year. And there is more to the book. There's a unit on environmentalism that you're welcome to read, but I am not going to be making videos on it because it's going to be summer. It's time for you to get out and take your summer break if you do that. I know a lot of homeschoolers go year-round. So what we're going to be talking about today is plant growth and disease, really how plants respond to stimulus. And this is a biology class for homeschoolers, but if you just want to learn about plant growth and disease and you like the way I teach, come on in. You're welcome to be here. So first of all, we're going to talk about how plants respond to stimulus. And we're going to talk about needs of plants. So first of all, plants can respond to, and let me say it this way. Different plants have different needs. Some plants need a lot of water. Some don't need much water at all. Some plants need lots of hours of daylight and direct sun. Some will die with too much sun. They need more shade or partial shade. So that's one thing that I have learned the hard way, is not paying attention to the little things when you buy plants that's stuck down in the soil that tells you how to plant it, and I do it wrong, and then my plant doesn't grow. One of the ones that I did wrong was a long time ago. We used to live in a different house, and my family had given me a hydrangea plant. It makes these big round flowers, and it was a pink hydrangea for Mother's Day. And then we sold the house, and I took my hydrangea with me. I dug it up and took it with me because I just got it for Mother's Day. And, you know, it was all cool with the lady who bought the house. She didn't care about the hydrangea plant. And I probably planted it right the first time when I first planted it on Mother's Day. But then here it is, July, and we're moving. And I planted it at my new house. Didn't know where to plant it, and I planted it exactly in the wrong place. Hydrangea plants like morning sun and afternoon shade. Where I planted it, it got morning shade and afternoon sun, and that plant has never been happy. It'll bloom, but it's sickly. It gets fungus. It looks so pitiful when the sun hits it and its leaves all wilt in the afternoon. It's never been a happy plant. Well, now we've been here a long time, and it has got sent off a few shoots where it has rooted new hydrangeas. So I've taken to where I chop that off, and then I move it over to the other side of my house where it gets much more shade. And so the new plants cut off of the old plant by cuttings, they're so much happier just because they're not in that full sun in the afternoon. And they bloomed so pretty last year. And it's like, you know, plants have needs, and if you ignore those needs, that plant is not going to be a happy plant for you. I told y'all a few videos ago that I don't have a green thumb, that my dad did and my mother-in-law does, and that's probably the problem, is I don't do a good enough job of obeying the instructions that come with the plant, because I guess I try to freestyle it a little too much. All right, so let's go on. So we talked about plants need light, the right amount of light for that plant, the right amount of water for that plant, the right amount of nutrients. So the book talks about that there are long day plants and short day plants, plants that need certain light requirements, and then there's neutral day plants where they're okay with the light. So you can read more about that. Tropism is how plants move. We think of plants as just being still, but they don't. You know that sunflowers will follow the sun through the day, and other plants will lean toward a light source. That's called phototropism, a plant that responds to light. Now, how do they do that? They don't have muscles. They do it with hormones. The plant will release hormones to make it move toward light. So another one that they have is gravitropism, and it's that like roots will grow down. They know which way gravity is pulling them, and it's gravitropism. It will follow gravity. Let's see if there's something else we want to talk about. Phototropism, tropism, gravitropism. Oh, thigmotropism. This is where plants will respond with movement to touch. So this is real fun. If you ever grow tomato plants, they will send out these little long, and beans will do this too. It'll be just this long little growth, little green, little pointy thing that's waving in the wind. It looks almost like a root, but it's green and it's coming off the tomato plant. Well, what it's doing is it's looking for something to cling on to. So you can touch it and it goes chink, and it'll go whoop, whoop, whoop. It's more fun with sound effects. And it will coil around your finger because it's looking for something to cling onto. Tomato plants know that they're all heavy and viney and they need to climb up. Climbing roses have those too, but if you touch it, then it springs, and it's like a spring all ready to spring, and it springs or wraps around something so it can climb up. Anything that will climb up a trellis, beans, stuff like that, they have those little extensions that will respond to touch. So you're going to do a little thing with gravitropism, a lab. We did that last year, and not all the kids got to work good, but some of them did. So hopefully you will be able to get it to work. Let's see. Oh, there's also some plants who can respond to touch, like Venus flytraps. They're open. They've got these little hairs. The insect gets in there and wiggles the hair, and it goes chink, and it shuts down on them, and then it eats the insect. It dissolves it and gets the nutrients out of the insects. We actually have those naturally here, Venus flytraps, or I don't know about Venus flytraps, but we have pitcher plants. They're another one that is a carnivorous plant. How weird is that? You can study more about that. That'd be a nice little paper for you to write. Growth requirements. Plants have different lifespans. Some plants are called annuals, and they only live one growing season. So like impatiens or a flower you might know of, that's an annual. Others are biannual. They live 2 years. I have one called Campy that it's sort of been a pass along plant I got from my grandpa, and it reseeds, and they grow 2 years, but it always reseeds. So I still have the same plant growing that actually came from my grandfather's house a long, long time ago, but really, really pretty flowers. And my sister has some that she got from my mom they're called Flower of Jove or Campies. But those are called biennial. A perennial is one that keeps growing over many, many seasons. So like my hydrangea bush is a perennial. It's something that keeps flowering. Rose bushes keep flowering. There are flowers that just come back and back and back. So we already talked about light requirements. Plants require light, they require water, they require minerals, they require soil. Now all of these can be different, and temperature. So there are some plants that need it not to get too hot. Others need it to be hot. There are some, not all plants grow in the same soil. Some need a sandier soil. Some need a loamier soil. Some need a heavier soil. Here in Georgia, we have red clay, heavy, heavy soil. And there are a lot of plants that will not grow in our heavy clay soil. So in our gardens, a lot of times we have to add things to lighten it up. Vermiculite is something that you add that can lighten the soil so that the plants grow and that they can push down. Some plants don't have strong enough roots to push down in heavy, heavy soil. They need lighter soil for their roots to grow. And see, if I was a good gardener, I'd know what to do, but I'm not. What I've been doing lately is hay bale gardening. You grow your plants in hay bales, and I like it. It's really fun, and so far my garden's doing pretty good. But last year I got bees in my hay bale, so my husband got stung. He started pulling up some of the tomato plants, and I knew there was a yellow jacket's nest in there, and he didn't, and it didn't occur to me that I needed to tell him, and he's allergic to bee stings, so that was not good at all. All right, so some plants need different temperature requirements, and that's why on the seeds, it'll tell you you're supposed to look and see what zone you're in, and then you can find out if that plant will grow in your zone, and if so, when. So like I just got a chrysanthemum not too long ago, and back at Christmas, and I wanted to see if here in Georgia, if it's warm enough where I could just set it outside, because I have cats who kept trying to eat it, and nope. It doesn't like to get colder than about 40, and it does get, down to freezing here some. So that wasn't going to work. So I gave the chrysanthemum to my mother-in-law because she doesn't have cats to try to eat the chrysanthemum. I had heard a long time ago when I taught public school before, from one of the other biology teachers, that chrysanthemums are poisonous to cats and dogs. If you have a pet, you should never have one. But then I was reading about it, and it's not really poisonous, like it'll kill them, but it can make them throw up, and it can like irritate their eyes if it gets in their eyes. But, I don't want my cat throwing up, so off to Graham it went. All right, now what can go wrong with plants? Well, they can get diseases just like people. They can get bacteria diseases. They can get viruses just like people. Some very bad viruses have been in the United States, devastating crops. And they can get funguses like my hydrangea bush got. They also can have insect pests like the very hungry caterpillar. But I have had caterpillars eat up my tomatoes and absolutely killed them before. So you can read all about that. Go read about all the different kind of plant pests, and if you read in the description, there's homework to do, and there will be labs for you to do too. We're going to do a lot of fun, hands-on things with plants. I think plants are really interesting. So come back, and we're going to go back. Remember how we had skipped plant reproduction a long time ago when we got to that chapter? Well, we're going to go back next week and do plant reproduction, because now there are flowers outside and you can actually dissect a flower because it's the right time of year. So like, share, subscribe. Science is great. See you next time.